Hey folks, Bishop here, Do Within Outdoors. Hope you've enjoyed our part 1 and part 2 series on everything you need to know about saddle hunting ropes. In part 1, we covered how to cut the ropes and cap the ends of the ropes, either by taping it or whipping or using heat shrink wrapping. Part 2, we went into several types of knots, such as stopper knots and loop knots, several very important knots for saddle hunting. Now we're in what I consider a very important video, a life-saving video where we're covering friction hitches. I'm going to cover what I consider the 5 most important friction hitches in the saddle hunting world, which is the Prusik, the Distel, the Knut, the Schwabisch, and the Michoacán friction hitches. And I'm going to show you how 4 of those hitches are basically using the same 4 wraps around the string, and it's just manipulating the legs to get to the same results. Okay, so let's get started today. Now this first friction hitch we're going to tie is one of the most popular you'll hear about in the saddle hunting world. It is the Prusik knot. It will save your life. It's very valuable. Very good knot. So this is 6mm sterling TRC. What we need to do is make this one continuous loop. So you can buy it already like that, or what we'll use is a double fisherman's knot. So if you watch part 2 of my video series on knots, you'll know to tie the double fisherman's knot. You go around and make this X, come back under, and then go through. Snug it up really well. Turn the rope over. Do the same thing again. Under and make the X, back under, and back through. If you need more instructions on making this knot, watch part 2. I go and do it a little slower, and we'll snug this up. What you're looking for is the barrel of 4 as well as 2 X's here. So now we have this continuous loop, so we can make this Prusik. What we're going to do now is get our tether or lineman's belt or rappelling rope. This is my 8mm sterling Oplux, and I'm going to use the 6mm sterling TRC with the 8mm sterling Oplux. Now, the general rule is 65 to 80% of your climbing rope. So if I'm using the 8mm sterling Oplux as my tether, I am well within range using this 6mm. "65 to 80% of your climbing rope for your friction hitches." So what we're going to do here is we're going to place this rope underneath the climbing rope. And we're going to make one loop. And we're going to come back around and make 2 loops. And then do it one more time for 3. You at least want 3 on your Prusik. On your Prusik knot. At least want 3. So we'll dress this up really well. Get it nice and smooth. Just like so. And you know we made 3 wraps to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops. You can also make one more since this is a smaller rope. You could do one more. And I really like the size of the 4-foot length. I think it's giving me plenty of tag end left here to attach my carabiner. So this will attach to your carabiner and either go on your lineman's loop or your tether. So I'm going to reset this knot and we'll tie it again one more time very slow. The Prusik knot, very important. All right, tying the Prusik knot for the second time. I have this loop here, 4 feet of sterling TRC 6mm rope, which is well within the 65 to 80% size of my 8mm sterling Oplux. I'm going to start it from underneath like so. I'm actually going to go this way, and then I'm going to wrap once. Go around one more time, and then a third. Dress it up very nicely, and there it is.
Besides, you know, this is, like I said, good size, 4 feet, does really well. But you can also, if you want to be a little bit safer and have a little more grip, you can wrap that thing that 4th time, which is going to give you 8 loops here. And that, my friends, is the Prusik. This will save your life. So now that we've covered the Prusik knot, which in my opinion is one of the most popular friction hitches in the saddle hunting world, I'm going to cover 4 additional friction hitches that I really like and I feel like are very popular as well. So what we need to do first is prep our rope to get ready for these hitches. What I have here is the 4 feet of Sterling TRC rope. I would suggest using anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 feet. 3.5 is probably going to be cutting it close, since this setup that I'm doing requires that you put stopper knots in the tag end. So depending on if you use a double overhand or a barrel knot, you know, this tag end could eat up some real estate. So I'm going to start out by just putting just a double overhand as a tag end. You can use a barrel knot as well, or a double overhand. I'm going to put it in each end of the rope. Now, I just like doing this before I do my poacher's knot. It makes it easier for me. That's just my opinion. So now I have a double overhand in each end. If you need instructions on these knots, watch part 2 of our video where we cover all of these various knots. So now I'm going to put in a poacher's knot in each end. So to do the poachers, you're going to go around twice, but leave yourself enough room to get this fat stopper knot through there. Push it through just like that. And snug it up. So there's one side. And then we'll do it again on this side. Give yourself plenty of room. Wrap around once and twice. And give yourself enough room to get through there. There we go. I'm going to snug this up really close to here, actually. Now this is what you're looking for. And you're like, well, what is that used for? Well, when we get to the end of making the hitches, it will look something like this. So let's get started. The first knot we're going to cover is the Distel friction hitch. So what I have here now is my 8mm Sterling Oplux, and I have it held down with a couple weights to keep some tension on it. And then we're going to use the 6mm Sterling TRC that we made. Remember from the Prusik video, you want anywhere from 65 to 80% of the size of your climbing rope, so your tether or your lineman's rope, to use for your friction hitches. So what's cool about these next 4 hitches is I'm going to show you that they have the exact same start to them. So really, if you wrap this rope around 4 times, you're going to be able to complete probably 6 or more hitches, but I'm going to only show you 4 today, my 4 favorite. So what we're going to do is start out wrapping this around 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what you have after you have your 4 wraps, 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 2 legs. And I've decided that it's probably going to be easier if I do take the carabiner off. So we have our 4 wraps here, and we're left with 2 legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, it all depends on what you do with your legs to make the various knots. So if I drop this leg down here, like so, and I come around and through, and snug it up, this leaves us with a distel. So then you can hook your carabiner through here, and through this loop, and you have a nice distal hitch that works very, very well. And it'll hold really well, especially if you make a hitch tender, which this is an unfinished one I have, but I will show you this in part 4 of the series, and this will allow us to use one hand to tighten this, and then you just kind of pull down to loosen it. Right now, you have to use 2 hands and one to loosen, but we'll get another video on this hitch tender, and I'll show you how to do that. So what you see here is we almost ran out of space. We probably need to go, I would use this, but we probably doesn't hurt to go, I don't know, 4.5 feet. Probably a little more. You probably want this to be another 2 inches. So, 4 feet. Yeah, 4 feet 6 inches, 4 feet 4 inches would be really good. Because you can see we about ran out of real estate. So what I'm going to do is actually untie this knot and show you one more time. Remember again, we have these 4 wraps are very important because we're going to show multiple. 1, 2, 3, 4. So remember, we take this top leg, come down and across the rope like that. So got 4 wraps, 1, 2, 3, 4. We take the top leg, go down and across just like this, come back behind and through right there. And snug it up. And you have a distal. Super easy. And you can put your carabiner on it. Now the next hitch we're going to cover is what's called the Schwabisch. So remember, same 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. So get a little more space up here. So instead of going around and through here like we did with the distal, this time we're just going to go straight down and come over this way. And now you have a Schwabisch, which will be probably my knot of choice this year. It's going to be very, very easy to use. I like this a lot. So I'm going to tie it again. This time I'm going to grab this black rope so you can see maybe it's a little bit longer. So I'm going to make my 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have my 4 loops there. Come straight down. Go around behind. And come through here. And you want both of these loops that you pull out to be about even. And you can hook your carabiner on the ends here. This one's very easy to move up and down. It's a very good knot. So that's the Schwabisch. So this next knot is what we call a Michoacán. And it's the same 4 loops, 1, 2, 3, 4. But with the Michoacán, I'll bring this leg down, come back behind with the bottom leg, and come across with the top leg and come underneath. And now you have the Michoacán, which is another great friction knot. So let me show you again. I'm going to untie these to give me more real estate just so you can see. So you got your 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time I'm going to bring this down, come underneath with the second leg, and back around. And that is a Michoacán. I'll do it one last time with the black rope in case you can see that a little better. Remember your 4 loops. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, you'll wrap this from behind, come down with your top leg, and come around it and tuck this in. It's almost like just tying like a shoelace. And dress this up really well. And that's a Michoacán. Now for the 4th knot is called a Knut. Similar to the Michoacán, except this time we have our 4 loops. We make this loop here, and then there goes into there. And that is a Knut. So I'll show you again the Knut. So for the Knut one more time, remember we have our 4 wraps and 2 legs. I'm going to make a loop out of this leg and go behind the rope. Bring the top leg down and come through this hole. And there's your Knut. Dress it up really nice. Another really good friction hitch. Now I'll show you the Knut with the black rope so you can see it maybe a little better. And then I'll go through all of these ropes one more time, but end on the rope that we're going to use for my purposes. So we got our black rope here, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're going to make this loop and go under, just like so. Let me give it a little more slack to my bottom leg. So there's our 4 loops. We're going to make that loop with the bottom leg and go underneath. Bring the top leg over, and we're just coming over and into this hole. And that is the Knut. Just like so. Super easy. All right, so let's put all 4 of these together. First of all, we have our 4 wraps. 2, 3, 4. So how do we do the distal? We have 4 loops, right? The distal is across around the tether and back through. There's the distal. The Schwabisch is the top leg down, then under the rope, the tether, and through. There's the Schwabisch. The Michoacán is top loop over knee, over and back behind, then come here and there. That's the Michoacán. Super simple. And then last but not least, the Knut. We make the loop here, bring the top piece over, and then we're coming around. And that's the Knut. Super simple. Now what I said I was going to use was the Schwabisch. So what I'm going to do, I have my stopper knots. I'm going to throw my poachers in, and we're going to finish with my Schwabisch. So I have my loop with my stopper knots, double overhand, and my poachers knots. What do we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm coming down and around like so. So you could see here where 4.5 feet would probably do this a little bit of justice. But I'll try it with the the 4-foot rope. Because once I get it on here and get it snug, I probably will have another inch or so. Get this really snug. Really, really on there. So that's how it ends. That's how it looks at the end. So stay tuned. Like I said, I'm going to have another video where I cover the Prusik tender, putting all of this together on your Taylor and Lineman's belts and using it. So video 4 will be the Prusik tender or the Friction Hitch tender, because it can be used with all. And then the 5th series will be putting all of this stuff together and using it outside. So I hope you found this useful. Like I said, we covered 4 of the major friction hitches for saddle hunting, and they can all be used as backups to mechanical devices or can be used on their own. I'm going to try this year to use this one on my own. I think this is going to work great. Using the hitch tender, I think it'll be able to work really well with one hand. So we'll see how it works in our 5th series when we put it to work.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. We covered a lot of good information and a lot of information that can help you prevent injuries and possibly save your life. In the 4th series of this video, we're going to go over a custom friction hitch tender, which I have right here, and it will allow you to tighten this with one hand. So stay tuned. We got a lot of great content. Like I said, part 4 is going to cover the tender. Part 5, we'll be putting this all together and showing you how to use it. So if you enjoy these videos, smash that like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Until next time, safe hunting.